today, we're diving headfirst into the heart and soul of Pune. Known as the Oxford of the East, this city is as diverse as it's vibrant. Let's kick off this food journey at Marz-O-Rin, a charming bakery that has been serving delectable treats for generations. This super cool bakery has a history as sweet as its pastries. So let's go on a tasty time travel. So today we have with us Mr. Jamshed Sheriarji, the owner of Marz-O-Rin, that is housed in a building that's over 200 years old. Hi, Mr. Jamshed. You know, Marz-O-Rin is one of the oldest cafes in the city. What kind of role do you think it has played in the food culture, and how has it evolved over the years?
Well, we are one of the oldest. I presume we must have had some influence with regards to the cafe culture in Pune, as well as to what people expect in terms of a menu for a QSR or a cafe, sandwiches and so on and so forth. My mother initially had started her own cake exhibition when Christmas time. Christmas time actually in Pune used to be very dull back in the 80s. Okay. Then me and my mother used to make cake decorations, decorated cakes.
So let's try some of the items on the menu.
Certainly, yes.
So tell me something more about what we're going to have today.
We'll be having cold coffee, chutney sandwiches, and our new pizzas.
Okay. So what is in these pizzas?
Our pizzas, again, we make everything else ourselves, from the base to basically, other than
from
the cheese.
Bread.
From the bread onwards, it's baked daily in our ovens. Okay. Freshly made and then made to order in our pizza oven. And I mean, it is a very tasty item. We have had very good reviews about it. And we give it at a very reasonable rate. The mini pizzas go for 50 for the veg, and right now 60 for the chicken.
And the cold coffees?
The cold coffee goes for 90, and it's our second most popular item on the menu after our chutney sandwich.
You're right, it is value for money. I mean, it's 90 rupees these days. You don't get much.
Exactly. Yeah. And our chutney sandwiches are at 50 rupees. They are our most popular item by far. Okay. And the recipe hasn't changed since we began it in 1965.
The chutney recipe?
It's exactly the same. The cold coffee is exactly the same.
So where does the sweetness come from? Like, do you put sugar in it?
That's all a trade secret. And honestly, it's not that different from a standard pudina chutney recipe, but there are one, two things that are the secret sauce, so to speak, to the recipe.
So what do people pair the chutney
Generally,
sandwich
they go for
with?
a plate of chutney sandwich and a plate of buttery cheese sandwiches. And they like to double decorate, so they get a bit of cheesy flavor along with the chutney.
So what kind of pizzas do you offer?
We basically have two varieties. It's all a mini. We are a fast food QSR, so we try to ensure we only have two items actually on the menu: mini veg and mini chicken. But if customer wants some additional topping in terms of more chili or more oregano, we can give that to them as well.
So if we had to take some things back to Bombay, what would you recommend?
To Bombay, I would suggest. Well, I wouldn't recommend the sandwiches. We generally don't recommend people traveling too long if they don't have a refrigeration or something of that nature. So most people go for our plain cakes like chocolate chip cake or plum cake, or some of our macaroons or cookies, as well as our biscuits. And of course, they can always pack a cold coffee on the way, so to speak.
Thank you so much. This has been a treat.
Thank you so much.
The sandwiches were great. The pizza is yum. And the cold coffee, I think, is the highlight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You can't come to Pune and not try one of the most popular misal places. Bedekar Misal has something for everyone. Tangy, sweet, spicy. It's going to be an explosion of flavors. So let's dig in. what we have in front of us is their famous misal pav. And just tell me, Aditya, what is so famous about it and why is it so popular?
So basically, this is a generational business coming down through a journey of 75 years.
Okay.
That is something that the customers have, shown their love towards our product. It's a mixture of flavors. There's sweet, there's tangy, there's spicy. So it's not just focused on one flavor.
Okay.
And the recipe goes down to the traditional dal that is prepared in a house.
Okay.
So the ingredients are similar to what that are of the dal. So that is why the customers connect to it more.
And what makes your misal special? Because
As I mentioned before, the flavor of the gravy, that is the main USP of our misal. It has a sweet note initially because of the presence of jaggery in the gravy. But once you start eating it, then you get the spicy aftertaste. So by the time you're done, that is when you've enjoyed all the flavors. You don't start with a spicy note. Otherwise, if you start spicy, then you're not able to enjoy the rest of the misal.
okay, and I think what you said is absolutely right. It has so many flavors that, I mean, it's sweet, it's a bit spicy. It's not too spicy, but yeah, it's working well, and then it's crispy because of all the chura. So do you make the bread also in-house?
Initially we used to, but now because of more demand, we've outsourced it.
So this is what? Medium spicy, less spicy?
This is the medium spicy version. I think you should try some sol curry also.
Thank you.
The benefit of having the sol curry with the misal is that it's a very good digestive.
Yeah.
The fruit that is used in making the sol curry, the kokum fruit, it's a very good digestive. That is why it goes very well with the misal.
Yeah.
Once it goes into your tummy, it just mellows the spice levels. So it
It
doesn't
cools
trouble you.
down your stomach. Okay. And it helps the misal go down
That's
faster,
right.
easier. So I understand why this misal is so popular here, by the way.
So would you like me to add some more spice?
I wouldn't mind. I can eat a lot of spice.
Sure.
So thank you so much. This has been so great, and this misal has been lovely. Absolutely, like an explosion of flavors in my mouth. So after this, we are going to go to Maratha Samrat for a very scrumptious lunch, a proper Maharashtrian delight. So as promised, we're here at Maratha Samrat for some authentic Maharashtrian food, and with me I have Chris from Seka, who's been in the Pune music scene for the past 3 decades, and this place is one of his most favorite restaurants for authentic Maharashtrian thalis. So Chris, tell me, why do you like Maratha Samrat?
We come here quite often actually to have the fish thali, which
Okay.
is fabulous, and the kala mutton thali, which is mutton which is cooked in a darker gravy with darker spices, so
Yeah.
it has a sort of black look to it, but it
Okay,
tastes
so
fabulous.
should we get started?
सीफूड में स्टार्टर्स हैं, सुरमई है, पॉम्पलेट है, प्रॉन्स है।
Okay, तो अगर हमें थाली खाना हो तो आपके दो सबसे recommended
हमारा
ones
मटन थाली और सीफूड थाली जो है वो काफी फेमस है।
ठीक है, just as you were saying, so ठीक है, वो दो एक लेकर आ जाइए।
एक सीफूड थाली,
एक सी फूड थाली और एक मटन थाली, ठीक है, थैंक यू।
Thank you.
This is actually delicious. Like, I did not expect it to be so nice. But like the fish curry is so tangy.
Yeah,
Is that because of kokum or something?
yeah.
Ah.
So they use kokum. This is the Malwani, more of the Malwani style fish curry. This is the pandra rasa.
Yeah.
Why
And
not-
how are you supposed to have this? With chapati or?
Yeah, you can have this. It's like a with the gravy or with the rice, which they'll give later.
So what do you like the most out of these?
I've tasted the curry, so that's everything is awesome. But I've tasted it before, so I like everything.
So tell me more about the food culture in the city. What kind of food do you get here? What's most popular?
So actually, Pune being a city with a lot of students, from all over the place. There are a whole lot of universities. We have the Pune University, obviously. Then we have the Symbiosis International University, and
we also have liberal arts institutions like Flames now.
Everything is there. So. Because of the huge variety of people which come in, I think our cuisine is really, there's a whole lot of different things to experiment, to try out, right from Japanese, Oriental, to different American burgers, continental places, fusion places, where they sort of mix Indian with the Western. But the places which really true to the city are places like this, where you get the Maharashtrian food, or your local snacks. So in fact, in this area there are a whole lot of legendary places which like a bakery called Kayani Bakery, which is then we have your Marz-O-Rin, which is there. There is a Garden Vada Pav. He's right over here.
Heard a lot about it.
Just behind, just 1 minute ago, 1 minute away. And this place, and then when you go to that side of town, then in the middle of town, then you have your Bedekar Misal and all the lunch houses. And also, the two oldest probably Irani restaurants in Pune. There's one called Blue Nile.
Okay.
Which is, again, just a minute down the road, and a George restaurant, which has been
which is famous for biryani.
Biryani, tandoori chicken, kebabs, that sort of.
So,
all close.
How has the music scene evolved? I mean, you don't hear a lot about the Pune music scene, although the biggest fest happens here every year. So
no, so actually, contrary to what you say, actually Pune's had a fabulous music scene, and the thing is, and a lot of very good musicians have come out of Pune. There was a band back in the 70s called Waterfront, which toured the world, and two of their musicians are from Pune. They were based in Pune, Roger and Derek. Derek passed away. They are senior musicians, but from that time, so music has always had a great culture. Okay. A lot of our Pune musicians actually presently moved from here, playing in Bombay, in the Bollywood scene, in the studio scene, in the session scene. But having said that, they always come back, and we have these little homely sort of venues which everyone want to come back to and play, because there's a known crowd, and people are happy to see their local acts playing. So that's more towards the Koregaon Park area, or even now in Balewadi and Bane Road. There are a lot of small venues which have.
So we're going to finish this meal, but thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure meeting you, and
likewise.
I'm so grateful that we came here. Now it feels like I've had a proper slice of Pune.
Great.
It's time to infuse some South Indian flavor in our food journey. So to do just that, we have the founders of Idliwale, Abhishek Joshi and Chirag Jadhav, and an assortment of their most popular dishes. So why don't you two tell me what these are?
So this is a ghee podi dosa.
Okay.
It's a Chennai style ghee podi dosa.
Okay.
It comes with a green chutney, a white chutney and a sambar.
Okay.
Why Chennai style? Because the malga podi is Chennai style malga podi. It's something
Malga
that
podi is
the podi on the top.
Okay.
That's the chicken ghee roast. That's one of our best-selling. This is again inspired by the Shetty lunch home.
Yeah, chicken ghee roast is. I mean, it's popular everywhere.
Yeah. And that's a Kerala parota, like a Malabar parota. Again, made in-house from scratch. We don't. Like most of the restaurants do frozen parotas. We start from scratch.
We just
from the
saw
dough,
that.
And that's idli chicken. That's a dish that I've grown up eating. It's just a Kundapur style chicken curry. This was my Sunday staple growing up.
So which one's your favorite?
The idli chicken
and
for
yours?
sure.
Idli chicken.
So should we try that first?
Sure.
So what's on top?
That's a
of
radish
idli?
slaw. It's made
Okay.
out of radish greens, cut radish, and onions.
And why do you
some
do that?
white,
To balance
coconut
it
in
out with some
yeah.
greens?
Yeah.
What all am I tasting right now in the gravy?
So
Is
it's
it
a
your
coconut
basic
base.
chicken gravy
It's a
or-
coconut-based gravy, and it's got khaskhas in it,
Khaskhas,
which is a predominant
Yeah.
flavor. It's also got mace,
Maize?
which is again not commonly used, and coconut, grated coconut, and coconut milk. So it's the same recipe that it's my atya's recipe. My father's
Okay.
sister is married to a Karnataka family, and that's where I've grown up eating this food. So we use the exactly same recipe for the chicken curry and the idlis as well.
You should try the ghee roast.
So, how did you two find this establishment? What was the idea behind it? And do you guys know each other from
Yeah, we're school
before?
friends.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
We went to a boarding school, so we know each other from then.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
but we opened this 4 years ago from a very small, just hole in the wall place in Pune.
150 square feet shop.
150 square feet, where there was no sit down and there's only stand and eat. Darshini style, Bangalore Darshini style
so
setup.
you would prepare these items?
Only
Are-
4 items were on
Okay.
the
We
menu.
started with just 4 dishes on the menu, and it was all idlis.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is amazing.
When we expanded, we had a bigger kitchen and a more expressive menu. So that's when we started doing dosas and Kerala parotas as well. Yeah.
I really love the Kerala parota. It's not crumbling completely. So what
Yeah.
happens with a lot of Kerala parotas is that before you can take a bite of
Yeah.
the food,
It's too flaky.
it's all just it just goes away. It's
Yeah,
flaky.
yeah.
But this one is, it's staying intact. I said I was gonna take one bite, but sorry. Are you guys not gonna have anything?
The coffee?
So is your coffee also, very popular here? Is it
Yeah.
something that people order when they're
So there's one-
having a meal?
There's one thing about our coffee. Our coffee has no chicory in it. Chicory also is something that is commonly added to
To
a filter
filter
coffee.
coffee.
We don't do that. And our coffee is sourced directly from the farmer in Tamil Nadu.
From Palni Hills.
Yeah.
Okay. But the chutney is the best.
It's good, right?
Yeah. It's not too spicy.
Yeah.
It's a bit tangy.
Hmm.
But it's interesting. So what do you put besides chilies and onion?
Onions, chilies and onions,
Shallots.
and
It.
there's shallots, not and like the tanginess is coming from
Imli?
tamarind. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Cool. Thank you so much for doing
you.
this and for accommodating us and for this wonderful meal. So our food journey continues and we are now at Pune's one of the most popular bakeries, German bakery. And with me I have the Pune foodies, Mansi. Tell me why you've recommended this place to us.
So German bakery is one of the oldest bakeries in Pune, and it's essentially a bakery by nature, but it has a little bit of everything. This coffee is called the Irish coffee, and it's basically an espresso shot with some water and whipped cream on top, garnished with some coffee beans. And the speciality of this particular coffee is that they use Robusta beans. So even if it's a little bitter on the taste, it ends with a sweet note because of the whipped cream. So that's the speciality of the Irish coffee.
Don't they look too decadent for an espresso?
It does, but that's the beauty of it. You get to ruin it.
And why is there an omelette on top of the keema?
That's a ritual of breaking an omelette on top of keema.
But that's
It
not something
complements
that's not something you find in other places, right?
Right. So most of German bakeries' menu is also inspired by the Parsi cuisine.
Okay.
So the omelette on top of the keema is an adaptation to that.
I like the yolk
Right.
with the keema.
Right.
Because I'm a big yolk fan.
Right. The fat works very well with the meat.
Yeah.
Yes. My journey with Pune foodie, we get to try so many cuisines and be around food so much that we've learned to pace our eating habits that way. So I don't ever consume coffee before, it's always after.
Yeah. So like, which other places would you recommend, say, for someone who has no idea about Pune, who's never been to the city, who's not even heard of any recommendations?
It's really about what do they want to taste, because Pune is so rich with culture, both in a historical sense and in the new culture that it's adapting because of the student crowd that it pulls in. So if somebody wants to try out authentic Maharashtrian Puneri cuisine, they should definitely visit the city side, where you get amazing thalis and mutton and chicken kebabs. Otherwise, for a modern cuisine, since we're sitting in a place like Koregaon Park, this locality has restaurants that serve Japanese sushi. So there's a place called Suki right above Delhi that serves authentic Japanese cuisine, and the way they craft it and the whole experience of it is something that somebody who's coming to Pune should definitely go for.
So we're going to take a sip of the coffee and wind up this conversation. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was a treat.
Talking about treats, I would love for you to taste some of my favorite treats at German Bakery. This is their apple pie with a dollop of vanilla ice cream on top, and this is their blueberry cheesecake. This blueberry cheesecake takes about 10 hours of curation, 6 hours of, they follow this procedure where they cover the mixture with foil and they steam it up. So the cheese layer that you see in the cheesecake, it absorbs that moisture and it creates air pockets inside it. I'm going to go in for the cheesecake.
Okay, it's I love the cinnamon. And although it's not so crumbly, it's still soft.
Yes, definitely.
So you must get to have desserts like these every day, right, as part of your job?
I mean, that's the best part of being with a team like Pune Foodie.
So on this very sweet note, I'd like to thank you again for this beautiful meal and these desserts. And it's a wrap. As the sun sets, it's a wrap for Team ET now. We know we've not even scratched the surface of what Pune can offer, but it's been an absolute blast.